Is there anyone here this morning who wouldn't love to receive an investment tip that was guaranteed not to lose one penny ever, and that was completely legal and ethical? Well, hold on to your seats, because Jesus just gave us some in our reading this morning from the Gospel of Luke. And he is completely clear and unambiguous. Jesus warns us not to store up for ourselves treasures on earth that can be stolen from us or destroyed, but instead to store up unfailing treasures in heaven. Unfailing. He is clear that it is not because earthly wealth might be lost, but because earthly wealth will always be lost, 100% of the time. It either leaves us while we're alive, or it leaves us when we die. No exceptions. So think about it for a minute. Jesus is giving us the ultimate investment advice. Earth's currency will become completely worthless to us when we die, which, as we all know, could happen at any time and when we least expect it. There are stock experts known as market timers who read the signs that the market is about to take a downward turn, and then they recommend switching funds immediately into more dependable vehicles such as money market accounts, treasury bills, or CDs. Well, you could say, if you were stretching it just a bit, not too much, but just a bit, that Jesus is the foremost market timer. He instructs us to transfer our funds from earth, which at some point is going to take a permanent dive, to heaven, which is insured by God, and at some point for each one of us will replace God's economy forever, Earth's economy forever. Though Christ's financial forecast for earth is bleak, he is unreservedly bullish about investing in heaven, where every market indicator is eternally positive, and you will never lose one penny. Guaranteed. Here in Palm Beach County, we are surrounded by beautiful, enticing nature that beckons us to savor every minute of it. The rhythmic ocean waves, glorious sunrises to the east, and equally glorious sunsets to the west with the verdant hues of pink, red, and purple. Here at Bethesda, we are blessed to be in the midst of loving, caring friends to soak in that beauty, to spend time together in prayer, or to enjoy a special meal or activity together. And we are also surrounded by beautiful, enticing material objects, luxury merchandise that is among the finest the world has to offer, and we can lose our perspective. If you're like me, this might have something to do with why you're here this morning, either in person or by live stream, to ground ourselves in the midst of this world that is all around us, this world that we know doesn't last forever, but that nonetheless beckons to us, calls us. Many of us know that our investment transfer is overdue. Yet, if you're like me, you hold on. Denying this reality that surrounds us is not going to get us very far. However, if by naming it and looking at it honestly, and our relationship to it can bear much fruit for our spiritual development and for our relationship with God. So how do we go about making this investment transfer from the earthly to the heavenly realm? I don't know about you, but I need a blueprint to figure this out. In our reading today, Jesus begins with the familiar phrase, "Do not be afraid," which occurs 365 times in the Bible, once for every day of the year. And I think it's because we need to hear it that often. In this passage, he is urging us to not be afraid to sell our possessions and give alms, because what awaits us all is God's kingdom here on earth. He is urging us to build up our treasures in heaven where no thief can steal and no moth can destroy, where our investment is 100% guaranteed not to fail. My former rector in Princeton, New Jersey used to say, "Give me 5 minutes with a person's checkbook, and I can tell you where their heart is." Let's just say I never showed him my checkbook. But it did give me a great deal to ponder, as studying it was an eye-opener for me. Is that what I really value? I mused. Apparently so. Apparently so. What was I doing with my resources? Was I using them to build up the kingdom of God, or just to build up myself and my own loved ones? What exactly would it look like to help build up God's kingdom, to build up my treasure in heaven, and how would I even begin such an undertaking? Fortunately, always the good teacher, Rabbi Jesus, then goes on to tell us how. First of all, he says, be dressed for action and have your lamps lit. So, first of all, be dressed. Got that. For action. Okay, so I've got my jogging shorts and my sneakers on. I'm dressed and ready for action. Then what? Wait, Jesus says. Wait and be alert, for you do not know when the master is coming. He may come in the middle of the night or near dawn. You don't know. So just be ready. Jesus is telling us that we need to be ready for 2 reasons. One, because we don't know when God will come for us ultimately. We don't know, none of us know when our last day on earth is going to be. That day when our earthly treasures will not have any value to us. But that's not all. He's also telling us that we don't know when the inbreaking of God's kingdom will come in our lives, and we will be given the perfect opportunity to start making some of those critical investment transfers. We don't know when our opportunity to give alms is going to come, when God's plan for our lives will be revealed. We don't know when that's going to happen, so we have to wait, watch, and be alert for that moment, he tells us. And it doesn't matter who we are or what kind of life we have led. We don't need to be wealthy. We don't need to have a big bank account to make a substantial investment. Each and every one of us will be given that opportunity. Last week, I became aware of how very far one of the young men has come who grew up in the Good Shepherd Home Orphanage in Cameroon, where I work. I don't mean how far he's come educationally, although he's done that, by obtaining a first-class degree in petroleum engineering from a top-tier university in Nigeria. And I don't mean financially, although he's gotten a good job. I mean spiritually. The minute he graduated from university, he began investing in building up the kingdom of God on earth, storing up for himself treasures in earth, storing up for himself treasures in heaven, where no thief comes and no moth destroys. This young man, named Abin Sistus, was literally abandoned as a child in the bush of Cameroon and was discovered there, subsisting on berries and bugs, by my now deceased friend and colleague, Sister Jane Monka. 12 years later, after living in the Good Shepherd home, he has graduated from university, and the very first thing he did was found ACT Foundation, aimed at transforming the lives of orphans in order to challenge the status quo. Impacting the lives of those from impoverished backgrounds is his greatest desire, as he connects voluntary tech experts with orphanages for knowledge transfer. He writes, I want to connect those smart students who come from low-income backgrounds with scholarships and grants. I know the importance of scholarships for the underprivileged, since I, too, was once underprivileged. Abin is using his voice to help the voiceless, his power to help the powerless. It doesn't take wealth to make this kind of difference. For example, regardless of our station in life, knowledge and whatever level of education we have is power. It gives us a voice and power that we can use for good. We can invest every penny in those earthly things that are all around us, or we can seek out a healthy balance. It's not either or, it's both and. Jesus doesn't say sell all your possession or give all your alms. That's not what he's telling us here. What he is advocating is balance. Of course we need earthly treasures to live and for creature comforts and to enjoy, like, for example, the beauty of art or a concert. But we also need what money cannot buy, and that's the peace that passes all understanding that comes from investing in God's kingdom, in the heavenly realm, where every market indicator is positive, always. Yes, Jesus gives us the ultimate investment tip, and it is a tip where we are guaranteed to never lose even one penny. I don't know about you, but I can't wait to start making some of those transfers. I can't lose. I can't lose. How many times can we say that about anything? To God be the glory.